Last year, I went out to the Black Sea. We found something.
One of Hitler's U-boats is just sitting on the seabed, full of gold.
I need men, half British, half Russian.
Reynolds, Peters, Tobin.
He's a trusted boy.
Fraser.
He's a liability.
He's an incredible diver.
How much gold we talking?
$182 million. Equal share, every man.
Black Sea. I really enjoyed this movie, Jude. Really enjoyed it. And it's not the type of role that I necessarily would have thought you would play. So what attracted you to this role, kind of the blue collar mariner?
Well, what wasn't there to like? You know, it was... First of all, it's Kevin MacDonald, and I love Kevin's feature films, and I loved his documentaries. And it seemed like a project that was going to bring the best out of both of those.
Yeah.
There was a great combination of tones to the script. There was a sort of social comment in that these were skilled, smart, underused and slightly abused men outside of society, you know, ex-naval, ex-salvage, ex-cons, desperate men willing to take desperate measures in order to win literally a pot of gold. Yeah. And so there's something kind of old-fashioned about it. And then it's a submarine movie, and I've been a great fan of sub movies, Das Boot or Run Silent, Run Deep, since I was a kid. And the drama on a submarine is always heightened because the danger level is so high. One bad move or one mistake, you're dead. And so, you know, it was just... And on paper, it was a wonderful part. Complicated. Was he right? Was he wrong? Did he make the right decision? Is he the hero? Is he the villain?
You're guessing the whole way through. And you went in a real submarine, right? For 4 days, I read. Is this true? You actually went in a real one. I was claustrophobic even watching this, Jude. So, like, how on earth did you... Like,
I don't know, it didn't bother me too much. I did enjoy it. I mean, am I cut out for it? Probably not. You know, it was probably easier getting on knowing I was going to get off. The lads on it would have been on for another 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
I was only under for a few days. You kind of get into your own weird headspace. There's a sort of time... First of all, you get into a strange sleep pattern. You sleep for 6 hours, you get up for 6 hours, you sleep for 6 hours, you get up for 6 hours, because it has to be operated 24/7.
Okay.
So there's always a chamber which is dark where you go off to snooze and then you come out and wander around. So, but there's always a sort of similar lighting stake. You only know what time of day it is by what meal it is.
Right.
And they have different food for different days. So if it's Wednesday, it's pizza. If it's Friday, it's fish. If it's Saturday, it's curry.
Okay.
You always know.
Yeah.
The most telling thing really is the proximities, is learning to deal with being in a close proximity with the same people day in, day out. And we got a little bit of that on this.
Okay.
Filming on the real submarine and day in, day out, mushing in together, putting up with the temperature, putting up with the smells, getting on with it. Diesel, men, you know.
Nasty. And you're beefed up in this. I noticed were you hitting the gym for this? And you don't believe what you read all the time. Is it true when you're on this submarine that you train beside nuclear missiles? I have to know if that's true, because I thought that was a good one-liner.
I'm amazed what people get to know. Yes, the captain of the sub asked if I wanted to work out with him, and I joined him, and it was down in what they call the bomb shop, which is next to the missiles. So yeah,
That's kind of weird. Scary?
it was a little bit.
Yeah,
I remember,
strange.
but the captain seemed to be all right about it, so I just shut up and did it so that I could tell this story. But I mean, there are all sorts of weird things go on board. Yeah. I remember there was a rowing machine next to like this huge computer, so someone would be on there rowing and someone else would be operating the computer for the sub.
Nice.
I know.
And speaking of believing what you read, lastly, I believe you said, and I think you did a thing for Mr. Porter recently, where you said you don't read tabloids anymore. You've nothing to do with them. Is that true? Do you ignore the mainstream
I do.
media
I
out
just
there?
yes. I decided I was much happier and clearer of conscience and just a happier person, avoiding any interaction with it.
You're probably dead right. Well, guys, congrats on the movie, first of all. I actually really enjoyed this one. And it's kind of, what I really liked about it is you're kind of looking at everybody all the time going, is he the baddie? Is he the goodie? They're kind of painting him as bad. So did you enjoy that side of it? Especially your character is very, I don't know, you're trying to figure him out whether you like him the whole time at all, if at all.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I don't know that you're supposed to feel very warmly towards Fraser, but but I think Fraser is essentially quite correct in one thing and one thing only. If you're going down under the water to collect a bunch of gold, and it's a dicey operation, don't split the money up evenly. Just don't. Just say, this is how much you'll get paid. You want to come on the job.
Otherwise, everybody wants to kill each other.
Yeah, you just don't want to add that, impetus.
Yeah.
And Reynolds is just like, he's like a fat bloke at a wedding reception. He just sits beside the buffet. He's just happy to be there, really.
He's really nice, isn't he?
Yeah, Reynolds is a nice guy. He's a submariner. He's a penguin. As I said in the film, he's happiest when he's on a submarine and he's doing his job, and everybody else is doing their job as well. Because you can't have any slack hands on a submarine, really.
Of course.
So you got to do your job, because if you're not pulling your weight, you could die.
Yeah.
So he's very conscious of that. He's very much the metronome of the film in a way. So it was enjoyable playing a good guy.
Yeah, and you went on a real submarine, like you had to film some of this in a real Russian submarine.
Did indeed.
Was that claustrophobic at all? Anybody suffer from claustrophobia on this?
No, it was really lovely weather, wasn't it? It
was a beautiful summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were down. So you go down and do a bit, and then you come up on the deck and do a bit of sunbathing, and have a cup of tea, and then you go back down again. You know what I mean?
Mad.
So that was great. But it was very tight. It was very tight, and because it was a Russian submarine, an old Russian submarine. There wasn't any concession to the humanity down there. They built the submarine, and then they added the sleeping quarters, the living quarters afterwards, as nearly as an afterthought. So you could see that these were hardy people.
Yeah.
Who had to suffer going around, the Bering Straits or the North Pole and
going around.
Yeah. And there's a scene that's absolutely stunning where you have to leave the submarine and it's all underwater. I was wondering, what was that like to film? Because I assume you don't mind being underwater, and how long at a time are you underwater when they're filming it? Did you come up for a while and then...
Yeah, well, that would vary, but generally we'd be under there for quite a while, and there'd be a lot of preparation to get everything ready, and they'd put us in the suits, and then there'd be standby, and then the camera go down, the this or that. We did that over several days, and, we'd be under for, up to... up to a few hours at a time. Like three hours or whatever it was at a time.
Yeah, and was Jude Law in this one of the lads, or was he Jude Law, the big movie star? No. Did he ever do a trailer on deck?
No. He was never like that. Jude Law, the movie star. He's captain, our captain. But he's a bang on, professional. And he is very much one of the lads. Yeah, very much.
We had a great time. If you're number one on the call sheet, you've got responsibilities. Now, those responsibilities, you can nail them high, and you can come in with your entourage, and you can play that game if you want.
Yeah.
Or you can just come in and do your job, and Jude's a man for doing his job,
Okay. So, Kevin, congrats on the movie, first of all. I really enjoyed this. Now, why did you choose this movie? You must have a million different projects you could do or want to do. So why Black Sea as the next movie from you?
Because I wanted to make a submarine thriller. Because there's something about submarines that's fascinating as a world to go into. It's kind of like, a space movie, but it's real. It's on Earth. People are all the time underwater in these subs. They're all over the world at the moment. It's real. It's happening, but it has all the qualities of a space movie at the same time.
Kind of watching it, you do feel like that there's a constant sense of tension just because all around them is water. It is more scary near you than space.
Yes, it is. That's one of the great things about sub movies. When looking back in the past, there's great films like Hunt for Red October, Crimson Tide, and they have that innate tension because you're only surviving because of the machine that's around you, because this tube of metal that you're in. Otherwise, if something goes wrong with that, you're doomed. So there's a tension just whether it's watching somebody sleeping, there's a tension there because you think, what's going to happen? The water's going to burst into it. So yeah, I think I read about the Kursk disaster, which was a famous Russian submarine disaster that happened about 10 years ago. A sub went down after an accident, there was an explosion, but some of the submariners survived for several days in a compartment that had oxygen in it. And they kind of knew they were going to run out of oxygen, and they knew they weren't going to be rescued in time. And I thought, that's a horrible situation. That's a horrible situation, and what would that be like, and how would they behave? And I thought that was the idea I took to Dennis Kelly, the writer.
Okay. And what was it like when you were filming this? Because I believe some of this, you filmed in a real submarine for some of this. So was that not, that would be scary in itself. Never mind watching the film. I think I'd have a bit of a claustrophobic fit if I had to be doing that.
Well, you know, yeah, being on a real sub we chose to do that because the real sub that we found was a 1960s Russian diesel sub. Was so amazing inside. It was like a museum, you know, of old Soviet military stuff, you know, just incredible feeling in this place. And I thought, God, we're never going to be able to build a set like this. We should take advantage of it and shoot in it. So it was very difficult to shoot because it's very tight, and you know, it's parked in the middle of a river, so you have to get by boat every day, and it's always a bit of a hassle. But the value of it it's fantastic because of how beautiful the set is, how detailed the set is, how authentic, obviously, it is.
Okay.
I feel like when we moved on to the real set, when we moved from the real submarine to the set out at Pinewood, the actors had already experienced what it's like to be on a real sub. They'd been in that claustrophobic environment, so they brought that with them to the set.
Okay. And is it true that the water at some point on this set like got turned yellow or something, and you had to drain the whole like 1.2?
Well, no, what happened, because in the middle of this, in the central section of this movie, there's a big underwater sequence where they have to go on this
Which is
in a
amazing,
walk.
by the way.
And that is filmed at Pinewood in the big tank there, where they do all the kind of underwater sequences for almost every big movie are done at this tank.
Okay.
And it's like a giant swimming pool that's very deep. And we were filming this, and part of our set had some foam in it, and this foam had a chemical that turned the water bright green. And we came in, we'd been filming Merrily Away for a few days. I come in one morning, and everyone's like looking at their shoes and like, I think, what's going on? And they said, go and look. And I go upstairs and I look into the tank, and it's green, like limeade.
Oh my God.
And then we had to drain all the 1.2 million litres of water out and scrub it down, refill it. So that was a huge expense, a huge, insurance claim, a business. So that was a bit of a disaster. That wasn't the best day.
Yeah, that must be a nightmare. When something like that happens, is the first thing you think of, what am I going to tell the movie company, or what? Or is it actually like, this is going to take more time to film, or what's the most
yes,
most
it's all
annoying?
about that, because always making movies, you got that pressure of the money. You know, when's the money going to run out? It's because it's money and time, but money and time are the same things. You know, you've got more money, you've got more time, and we were under a very tight schedule. And when this happened, we were just like, what can you do? You can't do anything. We couldn't film.
Yeah.
We got all these experts in swimming pools and things in to have a look at it to see what they could do. They couldn't figure out what to do it, so we had to drain it all out. So, but yeah, you're thinking, I hope they're going to give me more money to finish it. But then also I was thinking, this is the central action scene in the movie. They've got to have this in the movie, so they can always give us more money.
Brilliant. You mix it up between documentaries and features. So I was wondering, is there one you prefer? Because you do seem to go back and forth, and you have huge success, and both you have an Oscar on the shelf. Sure. So is there one you prefer, or is that why you go back and forth, because you can't choose which you love the most?
It's not about not being able to choose. It's about just feeling like I find both interesting. I enjoy doing both. I don't see why you can't do both. They both exercise a different muscle in you, I suppose, as a director. And with documentary, you're engaged in the real world in a way. You're out there, you're learning about the world, learning about different subjects. You have to talk to real people. Films, you're talking to actors and you're talking to technicians who do what you say, and it's a very different sort of thing. But you get the pleasure of the craft in making a fiction film. You're trying to make it look lovely. You're trying to make a well-made film. You're trying to evoke emotions in people. It's a very different sort of thing. So I like doing both, and as long as people give me money to do it, I'll carry on.
Long may it last. Congratulations. I really
Thank you
enjoyed the
very
movie.
much.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
million.
Outside, it's just dark, cold, death.
What happens when one of them starts to figure out that their share gets bigger and there is less people to share it with?
5, 4, 3.
Turn up and sing! You just want to live now. Can we just live?
We gotta take him down one by one.
Don't close that door!